Light to carry and easy to operate, the FIM-92 Stinger is a passive surface-to-air missile that can be shoulder-fired by a single operator, although standard military procedure calls for 2 operators, team chief and gunner. The FIM-92B missile can also be fired from the M1097 Avenger and the M6 Linebacker. The missile is also capable of being deployed from a Humvee Stinger rack, and can be used by airborne troops. A helicopter-launched version exists called Air-to-Air Stinger, ATAS. The missile is 5.0 feet, 1.52 meters, long and 2.8 in, 70 millimeters, in diameter with 3.9 in, 100 millimeters, fins. The missile itself weighs 22 pounds, 10.1 kilograms, while the missile with its launch tube and integral sight, fitted with a gripstock and IFF antenna, weighs approximately 34 pounds, 15.2 kilograms. It has an outward targeting range of up to 4,800 meters and can engage low-altitude enemy threats at up to 3,800 meters. The Stinger is launched by a small ejection motor that pushes at a safe distance from the operator before engaging the main 2-stage solid fuel sustainer, which accelerates it to a maximum speed of Mach 2.54, 750 meters per second. The warhead is a 6.6 pounds, 3 kilograms, penetrating hit-to-kill annular blast fragmentation type with an impact fuse and a self-destruct timer. To fire the missile, a BCU, battery coolant unit, is inserted into the gripstock. This device consists of a supply of liquid argon which is injected into the seeker to cool it to operating temperature, and a thermal battery which provides power for target acquisition. A single BCU provides power and coolant for roughly 45 seconds, after which another must be inserted if the missile has not been fired. The BCUs are somewhat sensitive to abuse, and have a limited shelf life due to the pressurized liquid argon leaking. The IFF system receives power from a rechargeable battery which is part of the IFF interrogator box which plugs into the base of the gripstock's pistol grip. Guidance to the target is initially through proportional navigation, then switches to another mode that directs the missile towards the target airframe instead of its exhaust plume. There are 3 main variants in use: the Stinger Basic, Stinger Passive Optical Seeker Technique, POST, and Stinger Reprogrammable Microprocessor, RMP. These correspond to the FIM-92A, FIM-92B, and FIM-92C and later variants respectively. The Post has a dual detector seeker, IR and UV. This allows it to distinguish targets from countermeasures much better than the Red-Eye and FIM-92A, which have IR only. While modern flares can have an IR signature that is closely matched to the launching aircraft's engine exhaust, there is a readily distinguishable difference in UV signature between flares and jet engines. The missile began as a program by General Dynamics to produce an improved variant of their 1967 FIM-43 Red-Eye. Production of the Red-Eye ran from 1969 to 1982, with a total production of around 85,000 missiles. The program was accepted for further development as Red-Eye 2 by the U.S. Army in 1971 and designated FIM-92. The Stinger appellation was chosen in 1972. Because of technical difficulties that dogged testing, the first shoulder launch was not until mid-1975. Production of the FIM-92A began in 1978. An improved Stinger with a new seeker, the FIM-92B, was produced from 1983 alongside the FIM-92A. Production of both the A and B types ended in 1987 with around 16,000 missiles produced. The replacement FIM-92C began development in 1984, and production began in 1987. The first examples were delivered to frontline units in 1989. C-type missiles were fitted with a reprogrammable microprocessor, allowing for incremental firmware updates. Later missiles designated D received improvements to improve their ability to defeat countermeasures, and later upgrades to the D were designated G. The FIM-92E or Block I was developed from 1992 and delivered from 1995. Certain sources state that the FIM-92D is also part of the Block I development. The main changes were again in the sensor and the software, improving the missile's performance against low signature targets. A software upgrade in 2001 was designated F. Block II development began in 1996 using a new focal plane array sensor to improve the missile's effectiveness in high clutter environments and increase the engagement range to about 25,000 feet, 7,600 meters. Production was scheduled for 2004, but Janes reports that this may be on hold. Since 1984, the Stinger has been issued to many U.S. Navy warships for point defense, particularly in Middle Eastern waters, with a 3-man team that can perform other duties when not conducting Stinger training or maintenance. Until it was decommissioned in September 1993, the U.S. Navy had at least one Stinger gunnery detachment attached to Beachmaster Unit 2 in Little Creek, Virginia. The sailors of this detachment would deploy to carrier battle groups in teams of 2 to 4 sailors per ship as requested by battle group commanders. Moscow. Thousands of people have died in the ongoing war in Russia and Ukraine since February 24. Despite this, both the countries are not ready to bow down. Initially, it was feared that Ukraine would kneel in front of the superpower of Russia in a few days. But, Ukraine has given a tough competition to the Russian army on the basis of Stinger missile received from America. Burnt Russian aircraft, drones, tanks and armored vehicles are testifying to the bravery of the Ukrainian army. It was the Stinger missile cost that forced the then Soviet army to leave Afghanistan in the 1980s. Now it is believed that due to the fear of this missile, Russia has not yet used its full air power against Ukraine. The FIM-92 Stinger is a man-portable air defense system. This weapon is also known in English as manpads. The system works as an infrared homing surface-to-air missile, SAM. This missile was first used by British forces during the Falklands War. Later in the 1980s, the US gave this missile system to the Mujahideen of Afghanistan. Due to which these Mujahideen inflicted serious injuries on the Soviet army. This system is used to shoot down many types of vehicles, drones or UAVs and helicopters. The Stinger is manufactured by Raytheon Missile Systems of America, which is produced under license by Airbus Defense in Germany and Roketsan Company in Turkey. The Ukrainian army is targeting Russian combat helicopters and drones through this Stinger missile. Ukraine had demanded 500 Stinger missiles and 500 Javelin missiles per day from the US and NATO. The US did not give such number of Stinger missiles to Ukraine, but it did give enough so that the movement of the Russian army could be stopped. The cost of a Stinger missile is $120,000, while the cost of a Javelin missile is $180,000. In such a situation, it is not possible to give 500 Stinger missiles to Ukraine every day. It is said that the then Soviet army had to leave Afghanistan because of the Stinger missile. However, Russia still denies the claim being made about this missile. In the mid-1980s, the U.S. intelligence agency CIA handed over a consignment of more than 500 Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen of Afghanistan under Operation Cyclone. Some reports claim that the U.S. handed over 2,000 Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen. At that time, the U.S. and the Afghan Mujahideen were working together against the Soviet Union due to the Cold War.